Alright, in today's video I'm going to talk about making progress on your weighted pull-ups and more specifically on how to do this when you just start out on your weighted pull-up journey. Because I have made a video on weighted pull-up progression a very long time ago. It's pretty much my most viewed video on my YouTube channel, but I'm still getting questions consistently on how to actually do this as a beginner. I touched on that in that video, but today I thought let's go and take a more in-depth look on how to make progress as a weighted pull-up beginner. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. And first and foremost, I'm once again going to stress on the importance of starting out with a solid foundation. If you cannot do 10 pull-ups in a row, there's absolutely no point in even starting your weighted pull-up journey because you don't have the foundational strength yet to actually do weighted pull-ups. So if you cannot do 10 plus good clean reps on pull-ups, don't even start your weighted pull-up journey and focus first and foremost on widening out your foundation, and then come back to this video when you can actually do 10 clean reps of pull-ups. The reason I'm saying this is that you will make much more progress and much faster progress further down the line if you just suck it up now and focus first and foremost on widening out your foundation. And now let's talk about the actual topic of today's video, starting off with frequency. So pretty much how many times a week should you do your weighted pull-ups? As a beginner, you are completely new to the exercise, and so you can essentially make the most amount of progress you'll ever make on your weighted pull-ups. Now, traditionally, the recommendation is to essentially do your weighted pull-ups at least twice a week. But that is not my recommendation if you just start out doing your weighted pull-ups. Because you are a beginner, you can make progress on literally any setup. So what I would do is literally try and make the most amount of progress on the least amount of work possible and just start out doing your weighted pull-ups only once a week. That is what I used to do back in the day, and essentially for the first few weeks and maybe even the first few months, I could consistently increase the weight on my weighted pull-ups, only doing the exercise once a week. And for my other pull workout of that week, I did other stuff, but I was only doing my weighted pull-ups once every week for the first few weeks of my weighted pull-up journey. So make as much progress as possible, only doing it once a week. And obviously after a few weeks, when your results actually stall, that is where you can obviously take the next logical step and just move your weighted pull-up training to twice a week. And now let's talk about rep ranges. Now I've actually made a full video on weighted pull-up rep ranges a couple of months ago, and I would really advise you to actually watch that video now to put what I'm about to say into context. It's also something that I get a lot of questions about in the comments, people asking me what is the best rep range where you just start out on your weighted pull-up journey. What rep range you work in will always depend on your goals, but for weighted pull-up beginners, I have some specific recommendations. Essentially, don't start out with strength training or pretty much anything below 5 reps for the first few months, maybe even the first year, because when you just start out, going all out on strength training is not a very good use of your time. I would personally recommend you to stay in between 5 and 10 reps for the first 6 months of your weighted pull-up journey. If we're talking about the amounts of sets you should do in every single workout, I would say 3 to 5 sets should do it for the majority of you. And how to set this up exactly, I will discuss right now in the next thing I'm going to talk about. Because now I'm going to talk about the right way of progression as a weighted pull-up beginner. Now initially, I would just stick to linear progression where you're going to add the same amount of incremental weight to the load lifted each session. And just to give you guys an example and combine the last point I talked about with this one, let's say for instance you choose to start out at sets of about 5 reps. So what you would do in your first session is do 3 sets of 5 reps, starting off with only 2.5 kilograms. Once again, referring to this principle, make the most amount of progress on least amount of work possible. Start off with the least amount of weight possible on your weighted pull-up and simply work your way up towards heavier weight as the weeks progress. And it's also definitely not a bad thing to keep weights light initially to kind of dial in your form and just slowly but surely work your way up towards heavier weights. And so week 1, you're going to do 3 sets of 5 reps on 2.5 kilograms. And what you should do is really just add weight to that every 1 or 2 weeks, sticking to a 3x5. So on week 1, you're going to do 3x5 at 2.5 kilograms. Week 2, just do 3x5 on 3.75 kilograms. Week 3, go to 3x5 on 5 kilograms and just keep adding a little bit of weight to your 3x5 every single week. That is the most straightforward way to progress on your weighted pull-ups, and that is what you can do when you just start out as a beginner. Just add a small amount of weight to your sets every single week, which I would also prefer over doing just more reps, which some people actually ask me in the comment section down below. Should you do more weight or more reps? I would personally stick to adding more weight every single session, providing that your form stays solid as the weeks progress. That is essentially how you make progress on your weighted pull-ups as a beginner, just through easy and simple linear progression. And then lastly in this video, what to do if you actually hit a plateau. Now I've actually made a full dedicated video on this quite a while ago, but I'm going to run through this quite briefly. First and foremost, if you're only doing weighted pull-ups once a week, go to twice a week, which I already mentioned in this video. You can also change up your rep ranges. If you always did 3 sets of 5 and hit a plateau, it could be a good thing to go to 3 sets of 6 and build up your sets of 6. When that plateaus, go back to your sets of 5 and you'll probably be able to bust through that plateau that you had a couple of months prior. And what you can also do is simply take a deload week, so pretty much half your training volume for 1 week to increase your recovery. And that is pretty much what actually allowed me to break to my first plateaus that I faced back in the day when I just started doing my weighted pull-ups. And with that being said, that is pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. If you still have any more questions regarding progression on weighted pull-ups or pretty much anything else, leave it down below in the comment section. And for now, let's actually wrap up today's video. So as always, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already and share the video. Any more questions, video ideas or advice, leave it down below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Latest.